After Bishop Carlton Pearson's shocking death, many people believed his legacy would be remembered as one of faith, controversy, and transformation. But no one expected what happened next. Out of nowhere, his ex-wife, Gina Marie Gauthier, broke her silence after years of holding back. And what she revealed was more than just personal pain. It was the dark truth behind one of the most famous gospel empires in America. You won't believe how deep this story goes. Gina had been quiet for years. She never said much publicly. She was always the calm, smiling woman standing beside Carlton, the preacher who challenged everything by preaching that hell wasn't real. People saw them together and assumed they were a powerful, united couple. But behind closed doors, things were very different. Let me tell you, Gina wasn't silent because she wanted to be. She was silent because she had to be. And now, after his passing, she finally decided to speak, and her words are shaking the church world to its core. Carlton Pearson had been a star. He came from a strict Pentecostal background and became a close student of Oral Roberts. By the 1990s, he had built a massive church in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Thousands of people came to hear him speak. Big names like T.D. Jakes and Donnie McClurkin stood beside him. He was known everywhere. But when he changed his beliefs, when he said that hell didn't exist and that everyone was already saved, everything started falling apart. Church leaders turned against him. People called him a heretic. His church got smaller. His finances went down. But that's the part the public saw. What they didn't see was the damage happening inside his home. Gina had once worked at the White House under President Clinton. She was smart, elegant, and educated. But when she married Carlton in 1993, she stepped into a world that wasn't just about love. It was about carrying a spiritual image. She thought she was becoming part of something powerful. But instead, she slowly disappeared in the background. While her husband's name got bigger and bigger. She said she was told to smile, wave, and look pretty. But no one ever asked if she was okay. According to Gina, as Carlton's theology changed, so did their marriage. The more he was rejected by the church world, the more pressure he brought home. She said their home became cold, full of silence and emotional tension. She disagreed with many of his beliefs, but she was discouraged from speaking up. She said he often used spiritual reasons to avoid accountability. And this is where it gets interesting. Gina shared that she had tried counseling, tried to fix things, but it was always brushed under the rug. She felt emotionally neglected and spiritually empty while still being expected to stand beside him like nothing was wrong. And the craziest part, for years, the church community ignored her pain. No one from the church, not even the people who used to call her First Lady, ever asked about her side of the story. Not one leader, not one friend. Everyone only cared about saving Carlton's image. But Gina's silence had a breaking point. She said she kept quiet out of respect, but after all these years, after his death, she had nothing left to protect. Her voice was the only thing she had, and now she's using it. Gina's story didn't stop at emotional neglect or spiritual disagreements. No, this is where it started to go even deeper and darker. Because after years of holding back, Gina revealed something that left even the most loyal followers of Bishop Pearson in complete shock. She hinted that there had been multiple affairs. Yes, not just one. According to her, Carlton had been emotionally and physically unfaithful during the very years he was leading thousands in worship and preaching on national television. Let me tell you, Gina didn't come forward with wild accusations or angry outbursts. She spoke calmly, but every word cut deep. She said she found late-night text messages. She heard rumors from trusted church insiders. She even witnessed what she described as unholy connections with people who were very close to her husband, and not strangers either. These were people within the church circle. And the worst part, she said those people were protected. No one dared to question Carlton. His power, his reputation, his position in the religious world, They made him untouchable. What makes this story different is not just the betrayal, but the way Gina was treated when she tried to speak up. She said every time she confronted him, she was told she was being too emotional, not spiritual enough, or even jealous of the ministry. According to her, this constant gaslighting made her start to doubt herself. She began to believe that maybe she was the problem. But now, looking back, she said it was a form of manipulation, a slow, quiet breaking of her spirit. One night, after a major church conference, she and Carlton had a conversation that changed everything. She said he admitted to one of the affairs, but instead of apologizing, he blamed it on the pressure of being rejected by the Christian community. He told her that being shut out by pastors and followers had crushed him, and that these outside relationships were just ways to cope. But for Gina, that excuse didn't ease the pain. It only made her feel more invisible. She had stood by him during the biggest fall of his career, and yet he had found comfort somewhere else. Still, she didn't leave. Not at first. Like so many women in the church, she believed she could fix it through prayer, patience, and faith. She stayed, hoping he would come back to her, not just physically, but emotionally and spiritually. But the betrayal had already done its damage. And the betrayal wasn't just from her husband, it was from the church system around them. Because as she started to open up to a few trusted spiritual advisors, she said their responses were even more painful. They didn't say, "Let's help you." They didn't say, "You deserve better." Instead, she was told to stay quiet. Don't ruin the ministry. Don't speak against a man of God. Don't destroy a Black man's legacy. That's what she kept hearing. They cared more about Carlton's public image than her private suffering. She said one senior leader even told her, "A good first lady knows how to suffer in silence." That sentence stuck with her for years. But here is the shocking part: they knew. She said several church board members, spiritual leaders, and mentors were aware of what was happening. Some of them had even heard the voice memos she recorded during their final years together. Yes, she recorded conversations where, she says, Carlton admitted to changing the public story about their separation to protect himself. And still, even with that proof, they begged her not to speak. By 2015, Gina had finally reached her breaking point. She filed for divorce. But even then, the public didn't understand the full story. Most people thought the split was because of stress or theological differences. But according to Gina, it was much deeper and far more personal. She said the divorce wasn't just the end of a marriage. It was the end of years of pretending. Years of keeping a smile on her face while silently falling apart. She described those years as some of the loneliest in her life. And the pain didn't stop when she walked away from the marriage. Because once she left, the silence from the church became even louder. People who once hugged her after Sunday service completely vanished. Women who once attended her events, who looked up to her as a role model, never checked in. It was like she had been erased from the story. Abandoned not just by her husband, but by the entire community that once claimed to love her. But this is where it gets even more heartbreaking. Gina said that after the divorce, she blamed herself. She felt guilty, not for leaving, but for not leaving sooner. She started questioning whether her silence had helped create the very image that ended up trapping her. She admitted that she had been taught, like many other women in the church, to submit, to stay, to cover her husband's flaws in the name of ministry. But looking back, she said that wasn't loyalty. It was emotional imprisonment. She explained how the guilt made her believe she had failed as a wife, as a woman of faith. She told herself maybe she should have prayed harder, forgiven quicker, or kept her pain more private. That kind of guilt is heavy. But something changed in her after Bishop Pearson's death. It was like the weight of everything she had buried for years started to rise to the surface. She said his passing brought her back to memories she had locked away. Not just the heartbreak, but the hope, the love, the confusion, the regret. And Just when people thought her story couldn't go any deeper, Gina revealed something that shocked even the closest people in Pearson's circle. She said that before his death, she discovered a letter, a private one, written by Carlton, but never sent to her directly. She found out about it through someone else. In that letter, he admitted some of his personal failures. He wrote, "I built a kingdom for others to follow, but I forgot the woman who helped build it with me." That single sentence hit her like a storm, because for years, that's all she ever wanted: acknowledgement, truth, not perfection, but honesty. But here's the craziest part. Even in his final moments, she said they never had closure, no last conversation to make peace, no real apology, just distance, just silence. Everyone around him was saying he passed peacefully, surrounded by love and reflection. But Gina said that wasn't her experience. She hadn't spoken to him for months before his passing. Their last conversation, she said, was cold. And even though they were no longer together, she said the pain of knowing they never truly healed still haunts her. After everything she went through, the silence, the betrayal, the guilt, Gina Marie Gauthier didn't choose to stay hidden. Not anymore. For years, she had been carrying the weight of someone else's story, protecting a man, a ministry, and a public image that never truly protected her. But now, she was finally choosing herself. And what she said in her recent interviews wasn't just a personal truth, it became a wake-up call to the entire church world. Gina revealed that the church system didn't just fail her, it used her. She said the same people who threw Bishop Pearson out for his controversial teachings were the same ones who protected men with worse secrets, as long as those men stayed loyal to the old belief systems. She called it hypocrisy, plain and simple. She said they care more about what you preach than how you live. As long as you don't rock the boat, they'll cover everything else up. Her words struck a nerve, especially with other women in ministry. After she spoke out, countless women, former first ladies, pastors' wives, even female preachers began sharing their own stories. Stories of being silenced, blamed, ignored, and spiritually gaslit for the sake of protecting a man's image. A quiet movement began, and Gina, she became the voice for all those women who were never given a chance to speak. She said, "The church failed me. The system failed me, but I won't fail myself anymore." But here's the part that leaves everyone stunned. Gina revealed that the image the public saw of Bishop Pearson's final days, a man at peace, surrounded by love and forgiveness, wasn't the full picture. Behind the scenes, she said there were serious conversations happening, financial issues, legal matters, even spiritual conflicts within his inner circle. She believes some people around him worked hard to protect his image, to make sure the world saw only what they wanted it to see. She even mentioned that there was more conversations, more letters, and more recordings that she hasn't released yet. Not because she wants revenge, but because she believes the truth deserves space. She said, I didn't speak to destroy him. I spoke because I was drowning in a silence no one ever noticed. That silence nearly broke her. But now her voice is helping others find their own. And perhaps the most haunting line she shared was this: "I didn't cry just because he died. I cried because we never truly healed." That's the pain that lingers, that is not just the betrayal, but the unfinished story. The fact that after building a life, a ministry, a family, they never got to sit down, face to face, and speak their truths. And in the end, Gina's story isn't just about a marriage gone wrong. It's about a system that let it happen, a community that watched and stayed quiet, a legacy that looked powerful on the outside but was deeply broken within. Her journey reminds us all that sometimes the biggest fall isn't from the pulpit, it's from the truth we refuse to face. This story wasn't just shocking, it was real, raw, and heartbreaking. And while Bishop Pearson's legacy may always be debated, Gina's voice is no longer part of the silence, it's part of the reckoning, a reckoning that's just beginning. Ask ChatGPT.